Cloud. Okay, we're recording. We have a few more people coming in, some latecomers. How can you be late for a Zoom? It's so funny, but we can still be late to a Zoom. If they could have been finishing work, so I'll give them that. They could have been finishing another Zoom. Okay, so for those just joining us, it's Jessica Fass, international Jewish matchmaker, and Rabbi Dov here. You're at the seminar. Is this the one? 10 ways to know for sure. We're very excited. So as I was saying, we don't have to be super formal. The rabbi will take pauses in his talk to ask for questions. If no one has a question, I will be the guinea pig and I will ask the question that's probably on everyone's mind and maybe is too shy to ask, just like the child on Passover. And then if my question then sparks you to have a question, I'll take a beat and see if any of you have a follow-up question. You can write them in the chat. You can send them to me privately, the host, and then I can read them anonymously. You can be brave and come on camera. It's a really cool thing to do, to put yourself out there, be vulnerable, and say your question, because everyone probably has the same question. And at the end, I have some anonymous questions that were submitted before the event, and we can go through those. Okay, so without further ado, I introduce Rabbi Dov, who's gonna go through the points this evening and be our guide.
Okay, thank you, Jessica. Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. So I guess all you joining me tonight from the West Coast, I guess you got your TV dinners, and those in the East Coast, I guess you got your cocktails and beer, and we're all set to go here. Part of my thanks to you for joining me is to offer everybody who's joining a complimentary session about anything you'd like to talk about, certainly the topics that I'm covering tonight, or anything else. Please reach out to me via my email, dov@claritytalk.com, dov@claritytalk.com. Feel free to reach out, and I'd love to talk to you about anything that's on your mind. So, yeah, are you the one? Are you the one? That's probably the question I get most in my professional career, talking with singles, working with singles and couples. How do you know? Can you know? And so tonight I'm going to answer the question by saying, yes, you can know. And I believe you can know with a lot of certainty. And these 10 points we're going to go through is my answer to that question. Can you know? And how do you know? And these 10 concepts are the answer to that question. Okay, so let me start with an introduction to the whole question of finding the right person. The sort of standard wisdom, the sort of common advice that we all sort of know ourselves and we tell other people is, well, how do you find the person who's going to be right for you? We tell people to make a list of all the things that are important to you, and then see how many of the boxes you can check off. I have given that advice, but the more I've thought about it, I've realized that that's not necessarily the best way. It works really good for buying a car. Put down all your specs and then go look for the car you want. But finding a person, a human being to commit your life to, I think is a little bit more complex. And so I'm going to share with you in thinking how to know a person. Because the question that we generally ask is, are you right for me? The question I want to ask tonight is, are we right for each other? We go out and we're looking for a mate. I want to suggest that what we're really looking for is a relationship. What we really want to be able to evaluate is not, are we good for you? Not, am I good for you or you good for me? But are we good for each other? So my focus tonight is on the relationship. To pick the right person, to make a life commitment with somebody, you want to look at the quality of the relationship. You're choosing a relationship, not just a person. You're choosing a relationship. And that's what I want to go through with you tonight, is 10 aspects of what I believe are really important aspects of knowing whether you have a good relationship going. You can see the other person from your point of view, but you really want to, again, step back and say, what is the overall quality of our relationship? Okay, so that's the intro, and it's a different way of thinking about it. So if you're in a relationship, it's just not thinking about the person you're dating. It's thinking about the quality of the dynamic, of the emotional dynamic between the two of you. Okay, so let's go. So how do you know if this is a good relationship? How do you know if you're in a good relationship that you feel comfortable making a commitment to for a lifetime? So here we go. So the first quality of a good relationship is that you have a good, healthy physical attraction. Good, healthy physical attraction. That's sort of obvious. We got to start with that, but I want to clarify. Having a healthy physical attraction does not mean you're in love. Let's say that again. It does not mean you're in love. Being in love is not necessary to get married. In fact, I tell people all the time, if you're in love, don't ever get married because you're in love. Right? Love is a sort of a crazy state. It's a temporal state. It's a superficial state. It's a great high, but it doesn't last, and you certainly can't make a lifetime decision based on being in love. But you do definitely want to be sure that the person you're thinking of committing to, that on both ways, there's a good, healthy physical attraction, good, healthy sexual energy between the two of you. An important point, actually the rabbis point this out, is that it's really important to be very honest with yourself and to be sure that there isn't a specific aspect of the person's physicality, and we're talking just physicality now, that be sure there's not something that's a turnoff, something that you find, sort of repulsive. People tell me, they discuss that and they say, I can't believe it. This and that bothers me about her, him. And I take that very seriously, because the bottom line is you got to live with this person for the rest of your life. And, people say, yeah, but she looks so good on paper. You've heard that one a lot of times. She looks so good on paper. My response is, yeah, but at the end of the day, you're not going to take a piece of paper with you to bed. So, yeah, unless you're into that sort of thing, maybe, I don't know. But that's not what happens. We take a real person that we need to feel attracted to. And that's vital. Okay, so that is point one. I guess we could stop if there's any questions on that.
Yeah, that's fascinating, Rabbi. I love that you said she looks good on paper, but you can't take the piece of paper to bed with you. Like we wish we could. And so I deal with clients all the time that are like, you matched me up perfectly on paper, but I'm just not physically attracted. I'm so sorry, Jessica. And it's frustrating as a matchmaker, because like I did my job, but the one thing I can't do is make the people physically attracted. I wish I could wave the magic wand, and then I'd have so many more marriages. But it's really refreshing to hear you say that, because I think a lot of our singles sometimes do hear like, overlook this, like what's the big deal, like this or that's not perfect, it's the values and the character, which I do believe you're going to tell us is the most important, but the physical attraction still matters. And it's just good to hear that from someone like you, that we can feel better when that's not the reason. We don't have to feel so superficial, that we, and I'll just tell one quick story because it relates to this. One couple I set up, the guy was not physically so into her from the first date. So he told me, I don't want to continue. So I said, okay, well, you have to tell her in a nice way. I just want to be friends. That was the beginning of my career. Now I don't let them do that themselves. Everybody has to come to me, and I give the feedback in a kind way. So he said, like, you're not for me, but you're a great person. Let's hang out as friends. So they kept hanging out as friends. This was in Tel Aviv, and they were in their 20s. So they were going to all the same events and Shabbat dinners. So they kept organically running into each other over time. And after a year, it changed for him. And he said, I don't know what I was thinking. She's amazing. We have so much in common. And so I'm just curious. And they're actually, the end of the story is they're happily married today, and they have 2 kids, and it's wonderful. And have you heard these kind of stories before, Rabbi, where the attraction did grow over time, but I think it worked because the pressure was gone, because he didn't have to be dating her. So it, you know, it allowed it to grow over time. If we had pressured him and said, you have to know, and you could only hang out with her if you're considering her for marriage, I think it wouldn't have worked. So have you ever seen that though? Like how long should you stay with someone and give it a chance to see if it grows over time?
Yeah, that's great, Jessica. Actually, I was going to make that point, and you already made it. You made it in a really neat way with that story. So that's great. Yeah, I was going to say, you know, okay, chemistry, that physical chemistry, and there's other aspects of chemistry, but we're just talking just physical attraction right now. Um, I always tell people, yeah, you know, if it's not there, but everything else looks good, you know, that again the list on the paper seems to be what you're looking for. Then for sure give it time. And I know situations where it has grown. You know, you hear the story, I've heard it many times, where, you know, so one of them says, he just wasn't my type, you know. Now he the look that she didn't think she was looking for, but it was okay. So you definitely want to give it some time and see if it, as we say, as it grows. Yeah,
Would you
very
say
good.
like, would you say
Okay,
give it
let's
like,
go on to.
okay, I was just going to say, would you give it a certain number of dates or like months, like any kind of frame
Yeah,
like that?
I don't know. I would say, you know, time is really important, especially if, you know, you're an older single, you know, and you don't have so much time. So, you know, you have to use your judgment, but I would say a month, you know, of seeing the person, you know, fairly regularly. I think that's enough time to see if there's at least the beginning of a change, you know, like saying, well, you know, it's not as bad as it was, you know, or I'm feeling a little more, you know, attracted now. So if that is happening, then I suggest you can continue.
Okay, and we have a couple more questions that came in about this topic. Can I ask them?
Yeah.
Um, okay, so someone said, is it true for women and men? Rabbis usually say that women don't need the physical attraction as much as men do. Is that true in your opinion?
It is true. It is men for sure need because men are for the most part visual, and women are not as visual. Um, you know, obviously there's exceptions to every rule. It's the general idea, but yeah, men need to feel that there's an attraction there. Um, you know, not a perfect 10, and that's a whole nother problem.
Mm-hmm.
Because then it gets into ego issues and, you know, arm candy and, you know, those sort of, you know, unhealthy types of needs that sometimes men have. You know, don't worry about whether other people think she's attractive. Just make sure that you think she's attractive. And that's really important. Again, I'll emphasize, why is it important for the man? Because a man needs to be into his partner, or into his wife, as it may be. He needs to really be attracted, because a woman really needs to feel that, really needs to feel that he's into all of her, especially physically, and that, you know, he enjoys looking at her and being with her. That is a very important part of loving a woman. So not only men have to be honest with themselves, because they, of course, have their own need to be attracted, but they can't afford to be lying to themselves and say, you know, she's really not very attractive, but okay, what the heck, I'll go for it anyway. That's not good for her. You have to be sure that you're going to treat her well and love her and be kind to her, and the way you do that is by being attracted to her and into her. So it's a more complex issue, as far as I understand. And women tend not to be as needy in that area, generally speaking. Yes.
Yeah. And we have one more. What is a nice and appropriate way to tell someone I am attracted to overall something about their physical body that I am not attracted to? What is a nice way to tell someone that there's maybe one, I think they meant that there's one aspect of the physicality that they're not attracted to? Because maybe let's just say maybe it's the teeth, and the teeth need to get straightened or whitened. this is what I'm thinking. If this person wants to write more clarity for this question, maybe a man can have thinning hair, a woman could have thinning hair. So maybe it's something that maybe it's like losing just maybe 10, 15 pounds. Like maybe she's talking about it's something that you can fix easily. Should you say that to the person, or should you just live with it?
Obviously that's, yeah, that's a tough call. Obviously you don't want to tell somebody that you would like something different about them if it's really hard for them to change, whatever that is. Telling people about their physicality is obviously pretty sensitive. Yet, if everything is really going well and you really feel you've developed a friendship and a trust and things are going well, it seems to me you certainly might want to take that risk, definitely, and if it's something that's fixable. But again, this is actually a good segue into my second point, is that what happens if they don't do it, or they do it up until the wedding, and then a month after the wedding, she's put on those 20 pounds again, just because that's really what her comfortable body body weight is for her. And that's, we all have a sense of that for ourselves. So, it's touchy, but I think it's worth taking a risk. If everything is going great, I think it's worth taking the risk and see what happens.
That's great to hear. And you're saying also then, so if you did get married and then the person put on those 20 pounds, the man or the woman, at that point, could you say something like, you don't look the same as when I married you, and I'd like you to get, or okay, maybe the answer is they have to go for you for counseling and they say it together with you in the room to make it less hurtful.
I think you're in trouble there. I think you're starting to get into troubled waters at that point. I mean, it is an issue. I mean, it's an issue with everybody who's, listen, our bodies don't stay the same, from our wedding day, men and women. Age just does that for the most part. Yeah, that's a whole nother topic. Let's not go there.
Okay. We won't go into that.
We got a lot to talk about. And these are all really important issues. But yeah, it's a little more complex.
Okay. Yeah, and we got to move on.
And it's very personal. It's very personal depending on the individual and the dynamic with the couple and how they work together and all that. So it's hard to a little hard to generalize as well, because everything is so individualistic around these issues. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's go on to point two. That's a good segue. So the second point is you accept each other fully as you are now. You accept each other as you are now. That means that I am happily into the way you are now. We are accepting each other the way they are now, and we are not assuming that either one of us will change. I don't need you to change. I'm not hoping you will change. There's things maybe that I'm not 100% thrilled about, but I've made the decision that I can live with you the way you are, assuming you never change. And if you're not 100% able to say to the other person that you're not 100% okay with where they are, and you are thinking you'd like them to change, then you bring it up before you're engaged. Don't bring it up later, and don't bring it up well into the relationship. Bring it up early in the relationship if there's really something bothering you. But again, the quality of a relationship for marriage is one where both accept each other the way they are now. They're not thinking to themselves, and this is very important, everybody, that you be very honest with yourselves, because sometimes there's these unconscious hopes, unconscious hopes that the person will change. I'm hoping after we're married that he won't be as cheap. I'm hoping after we're married that she'll be a little more sophisticated. I'm hoping after we're married that he'll be a little more psychologically tuned in. I'm hoping after we're married that she won't be so materialistic. I'm hoping after we're married that he'll be a little more friendly in public. You know, those are the types of thoughts that people can have, and you want to be very, very honest with yourself. So two people who have a good relationship that's ready to go know that they accept each other the way they are now, even if there are things you don't fully like, but I can live with them. I can live with them happily. Okay. Any comments
Question.
or
Yeah.
questions?
Yeah, we had a question. First of all, wait, if I do, everyone just tell me, if I cancel the spotlight, do you see me and the rabbi on the screen side by side? Can anybody just write to me?
No.
Do you end up see? No? Like who's on the, it's just whoever is
You.
talking?
Yeah, it's you.
Okay. Okay. All right. So I'll go back and forth between me and the rabbi and spotlight us, depending on who's talking. I can't even see how to spotlight myself. Why am I not seeing that?
You are though.
I am spotlighted? Okay.
Yes, you're good,
Okay.
Jessica.
Okay. All right. I'm seeing different than what everybody else sees. Okay. So the question we have is, how do we tell what we can live with and what we can't? How do we make that heshbon while dating for marriage? I think that's what she meant, heshbon.
Yeah, accounting. Yeah, how do you
Yeah.
make that decision? Well, how do you make it? That's why I say you've got to be very honest with yourself. Only you can know. Only you can know yourself. Know what your needs are, your likes, your dislikes, your preferences. Only you know that. So you have to. You're the only one who can decide what you. And the question is, can I live with this? Can I live with this the way the person is the rest of my life with them? That's the question. If you're not sure, if your answer to the question is I'm not sure I can live with this, then you have a problem, right? You have to get to a point where you're sure. If you're not sure, well, then that's a more complicated conversation.
And just to follow up to that, they said, and if we bring up something we don't like, is that not expecting or hoping for change from our partner? So I guess if you bring it up, then yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's what I said. If you bring it up before the relationship gets very serious, I mean, that's just ideal. You can bring it up anytime short of engagement. Then that's what you want to do. That's what dating is. Dating is one of the things I'm going to talk about is problem solving. So this is a problem. I really would love if we could talk about whatever thing that's bothering me about you. That is a very important dating conversation. That should be discussed because that gives you a chance to do in real time take the opportunity to see how well you guys communicate and problem solve together.
Awesome. And then we have one more question from someone else. What if you both aren't where you want to be career-wise and growth-wise? Can you grow together? Very interesting one.
Well, again, you can grow together, but let's again, the question here that we're focused on is let's suppose we don't grow in our careers. We sort of stay where we are. Can you live with that? This is an issue that comes up quite often. I know he's just starting his career, and and he's and I see he works pretty hard, but I really hope he makes more. That's what if he doesn't? Can you live with that? So that's a real important question, and it also says a lot about your priorities and what's important in life. It also, though, you have to be honest with yourself and what your own materialistic needs are. You have a right to those as well. So discuss it for sure.
I think that's great to hear that we can have our own maybe materialistic needs or whatever our needs are, that everyone hears that you are entitled to your needs, and don't let anybody tell you, oh, you're being too picky. Well, I guess if you're not sure, if there's that fine line of am I being too picky or is this reasonable, then they can come to you for an appointment and get clarity. That's something to talk about.
That's I do a lot of those conversations, that's for sure. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. And I do some too, but then if it's deeper work, I want to refer to people like the rabbi. Okay. That's the question for now. Unless somebody wanted to come off mute and be brave and ask something live. If you want to do that, if you could just put that in the chat, like, hey, I want to come off mute, and then we can keep it organized. So feel free to do that. We'd love to hear from you.
Okay, let's go on. All right. So the third aspect of a good quality relationship, the third aspect of measuring the quality of the relationship is, do we like each other? Do we like each other? Now you probably say, well, why don't you say, do we love each other? I think like is really important. You know, just do I like this person? You know, you think about all your relationships. Are there people you don't particularly like? You don't necessarily love them, you know, you don't hate them, but you don't particularly like them. And then there are people you just like. I just like you. You know, there's a good energy, a good vibe. Like is, to me, really important. You have to like each other. And that's comes from identifying the good in a person. When you strongly identify what's good in the person, of course, nobody's perfect, and you're able to accept happily what's, you know, not perfect in the other person, but you basically see the good, then that's liking person. That's where like comes from. And this is not infatuation. Infatuation is, again, a sort of unfortunate psychological state. Infatuation is seeing the person as all perfect, not seeing any faults. And of course, that's really potentially destructive. So we're into like, we're not into infatuation. Very important to be aware of that. Two other important aspects of liking a person is respect and admiration. You know, I have to respect the person. I have to respect what they stand for, their values, what they do, how they behave, how they think. I want to have a basic respect and ideally admiration. Boy, if you can find someone that the like level is includes admiration, then you really got sort of a gold mine there. And one other thing I'd like to throw out, and this is something I've only recently come to think about, but I think it's really important, is it's very similar to finding what you like, but I think it's ideal if you can find a particular quality, an outstanding quality in the other person, and vice versa, of course, goes both ways. An outstanding quality that you resonate with. You just resonate with this quality, like really identify. It's like, wow, I really identify with that, right? You know, so often couples, you know, have like connections that are superficial. They don't have, this is in a soul level, if you want to call it that. This resonating with some specific quality that really attracts you is very, very special. It's really good to look for. You need to know the types of things, the qualities that you are looking for, that you really resonate with. It could be a particular character, character state, kindness, could be loyalty, commitment, could be the way they think, it could be their spirituality, it could be a lot of things. But to find something that you really identify with, you really resonate with, that takes liking to a whole new level of like. That leads to what I would call a deeper type of soul connection. If you can find that, that's very, very powerful. Okay, so that's point 3. We like each other. Okay, any comments,
That's
questions?
great. Yeah, I think a few new ones came in. Let's see which one is new here. Okay, does the rabbi recommend a self-test to see if we are infatuated or we have genuine healthy feelings? That's a good one.
Well, I mean, the infatuation is, I don't see anything bad. Okay, that's infatuation. If I were to ask you, tell me some of the weaknesses of this person, and you can't tell me any weaknesses or character flaws or struggles that they have, then you're infatuated. If you can give me, you know, a healthy connection with a person is seeing the whole person. You see the good and you see the bad. Infatuation does not see the bad. Infatuation only sees the good. So if you can't see anything wrong with the person, then you're in trouble.
That's so interesting to hear. You need to also hear the flaws, know the flaws.
Well, it's good because the flaws are going to show up after you're married. That's for sure. So you want to see what they are now.
And then there was like a counter question to it. Are there any good questions we can ask the person we're dating to make sure they're not only infatuated with us and actually really into us? Is that possible for us to figure out about our partner?
100. Yeah, just turn it around. Turn the question around and say, well, first of all, you do want to hear from somebody what they like about you. You certainly want to hear that, and that's very important too, because how do they express what they like? Is it sort of like, sort of abstract or idealizing you? That's not good. You're just like the sweetest of the sweets. It's just like never met anybody so sweet in my life. All right, give me a break. I mean, I may be sweet, but I'm not perfect. So you certainly want to hear how the person sees your good points, and then you ask them, and I'd like to see where you see where my weaknesses are.
Very wise. Oh, sorry.
I'd like you to tell me the truth, really. Listen, if we're going to have a relationship, I'd like to have an honest relationship with you, and I'd like to hear, the full picture of how you see me.
And I was just going to say, though, Rabbi, if some people here are only dating over Zoom, do you think that conversation they won't be able to see kind of the minuses, the faults, until they've spent some time together in person, So do you agree with that?
Well, I don't know. I mean, you can certainly ask the questions, like, tell me about yourself, but I want to know, the good and the bad. Tell me your biggest fault. Tell me the thing you dislike most about yourself. Again, if you marry the person, you're going to find out. So it's better to ask these questions now. The worst thing you can do is, I always tell, the worst thing couples do is they're afraid to rock the boat. My philosophy of dating is rock the boat and rock it as hard as you can, because you don't want any surprises after you say I do.
That's great to hear. Rock the boat as hard as you can. I hope people get that nugget of wisdom. So they shouldn't be so shy on these Zoom calls. They might as well ask hard-hitting questions before, and maybe they won't even go to the physical date if things are not, lining up.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying.
Yeah, 100%. Ask your strongest questions. What you learn by asking a strong question, which actually could be a little intimidating, is how the person handles it. And that you learn so much by how people respond to difficult questions. Do they get defensive? Do they avoid? Do they deny? Do they change the subject? Do they attack? That's crucial information. That's why I'm so big into having people really open up and tell the truth when you're dating.
Okay, and then we just had one little kind of follow-up thing. When we kind of answered this, when can you ask these questions? At what point in dating? If it's a Zoom call, the first one, or for in-person date?
Why not? We're getting to know each other. Zoom is a little bit weird, right? Because ideally, you probably want to hold off on heavy questions and just see how you feel with each other. If you were dating in person, right? That's very important, to have fun, to just see if how you hang with each other. That's extremely important. And just be able to chill together. Very, very important. You're not really doing that on Zoom, and it's sort of it's awkward, and in the sense that, well, all we can do is talk. Well, okay, well, then go for it.
And okay, and the last one we'll ask about this topic is: being infatuated an important part that should happen at some point? What if you're never infatuated?
Great. That's what that's what I said. If you're never infatuated, great. I mean, on some level, infatuation generally happens. We feel this rush, we feel this excitement, but that type of, maybe, I don't know if that's infatuation. That's maybe the excitement of, wow, I think this might be the one. And, you may get sort of carried away by that. Is that infatuation? I don't know. But if you're not infatuated and you don't feel you're in love, again, that's not a problem in my opinion.
Okay. And then someone said, what are considered strong questions? Do you want to answer that more at the, I think she means in general, what are the strong types of questions to ask to
Well,
get to know each other?
I already
You
said
kind of
those.
answered that. Yeah.
Yeah, I did. Just tell me about yourself. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What's your greatest fear? You can go online and find lots of lists of questions, that are more penetrating types of questions.
Okay. Great. Okay. I'll let you continue. Maybe we'll go back to some of these. I'm glad we're sparking lots of conversation.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Good. All right. Great. Let's go on. Okay. So the fourth way to measure the overall quality of a relationship is, are you building a friendship? Are you building a friendship? We want to be friends and lovers. Great to be lovers, but be friends first. You want to marry somebody. You want to make a lifetime commitment to someone who treats you like your good friends treat you. Friends are not selfish. They care about each other's happiness. They enjoy giving. They enjoy taking care of each other's needs. Above all, good friends are loyal. They won't betray you. And they are what I like to call guardians. Good friends are guardians of each other's self-esteem. They are always focused more on building each other up and never tearing each other down. You want to feel that the person you're with, that the two of you have this type of dynamic. You have a positive attitude towards each other, an attitude of encouragement. Encouragement is I see the process of you. I'm not into what I think you should be or what I think is wrong with you, but I'm into you growing. I see the way you're growing. I see the way you're developing, and I'm into that. I am into the type of person you're becoming, and that's encouragement, and that's that's a very building attitude. So good friends are there for each other. They care about each other's happiness. They're loyal, and they overall build each other up and never tear each other down. That's friendship.
Okay. Great. Just someone did follow up from the last one and said, so is it okay to never be infatuated? I think that she means also, because yeah, the friendship is like the basis for it to grow, but I do think you need I think she's talking about the physical chemistry, like wow factor, like you do need it at some point, right?
Well, you need, that's the liking the person. That's the physical attraction. You see, I'm sort of breaking that that chemistry, sort of people call chemistry. I'm breaking that down into liking the person and having, a strong, healthy physical attraction for the person.
Okay. And if she needs more clarity, feel free to write more to this question. And then someone did write, during coronavirus time, where even if you're hanging out together, you can't do activities like meet each other's friends, etc., family, do you still have enough info about a connection with the person? Does that make sense to you, Rabbi, what they're asking?
If you're only, you've only dated on Zoom or remotely, yes? Is that the question?
No, they're saying like, if you're hanging out together, but you can't do usual activities, and you can't meet each other's friends and family.
Right, you're limited.
Yeah.
It's definitely a problem. It's always important to see people in different social settings, with family, friends, different venues. That's an important part of getting to know each other. So, perhaps I wasn't thinking in these terms when I put this seminar together, put these 10 aspects together. It may be that if you may not be able to do some of those other things to get to know each other, but I think if you can check off on the list that I'm talking about tonight, I think that should give you a lot of certainty, even without those. I'm a little cautious about not having those sort of normal types of interactions, social interactions. But you have to do the best we can. And I think what I'm talking about tonight can certainly be a foundation for helping you to really measure, again, the overall quality of the relationship on what I think is on a deeper level.
Great. Okay. We had one more that came in that just said, doesn't attraction wear off over time? I would say yes. I'd love to hear what the rabbi thinks.
Well, no, attraction doesn't wear off over time. I mean,
Oh, I think he's talking about only physical. Like, does physical attraction, like, can you clarify, the person that asked me that? But go ahead.
well, I mean, you know, over time. I mean, how many years are we talking about? But no, I think one can always be attracted to one's mate. Again, we're assuming. I guess I'm assuming that people are. We're not talking about ill health. We're talking about people who have good self-care. People who are taking care of their bodies. People who are healthy, eat good, eat properly, exercise. They care about their bodies, and they're you know, they work on it. I think two people like that, I think they stay pretty attracted for a pretty long time. You know, I've been married quite a number of years, and I can still say that's not a problem.
That's great to hear. Okay, hope that answers your question.
Yeah. Okay, but that's why you have to be sure you have the when you're dating, you want to make sure you have that physical attraction, because if it's not there at the get-go, then you're going to have problems, because now you got nothing to hold your interest, so to speak. So that's important. Okay, all right, let's go on to the fifth quality of measuring. Fifth aspect of measuring the overall quality of a relationship. So it is, are you good problem solvers? Extremely important. Everybody talks about having good communication. You know, I say that good communication comes down to basically one thing. It's the ability to problem solve together, to reach win-win solutions consistently. And that's why it's good to be really honest and open when you're dating. And if there's issues that come up and they cause tension and conflict, that is really good, again, because you want to have every opportunity you can when you're dating to, you know, you don't want to manufacture problems, of course, but you want to give yourself a chance to just see how well the two of you work together, how honest you can be with each other, how vulnerable you can be in your effort to work on an issue, work on a conflict. So couples that are good problem solvers, essential for making a decision to marry somebody. If you're not sure that the two of you can work together and you can problem solve together, you really, really need to rethink that relationship. Because, now, I'm sorry to tell you, but life is nothing but problems. And being married is nothing but problems. It's not la 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 and fun, fun, fun. It's just a lot of problems. Not bad things, but life is just throwing stuff at us all the time. You know that. So you need to be able to work together very well. Above all, couples that are good problem solvers, you know, they have a good, solid working relationship. And therefore, when they do have conflict or they do get into a disagreement, they never escalate. And if they begin to escalate, they're able to calm it down. They stay in control, and they don't let a fight turn into something nasty and ugly where people aren't talking to each other, you know, for days, and things just totally break down. Couples who are good problem solvers, that never happens. And above all, you want to be sure that the two of you are good problem solvers, which means you will not escalate when you have disagreements and when you have conflict. And also, to be good problem solvers, you have to be good listeners. Two people who can really, really give each other a good hearing, really pay attention, not interrupt, not attack, not do the things that bad listeners do, like give opinions and get defensive. No, good listeners listen, and they're listening even though what they're listening to may feel uncomfortable. They have that self self-confidence, and they have that inner strength to be able to listen even when it's uncomfortable. And that's crucial if you're going to be good problem solvers. So the fifth quality of a good relationship is that you are good problem solvers. Okay.
That's great to hear.
Yeah.
About being problem solvers. It's the number one thing that people forget, that it's not just fairy tales and roses after the chuppah. It's, you know, the real work comes. So you want someone in it with you for the long haul that's gonna be a good listener, problem solver, make compromises. Well, one of my couples, they thought they'd live in Israel forever. The woman is Danish, the man is Israeli, and they are gonna move to Denmark. So, you know, that's not what he signed up for originally, but they talked and compromised and realized it was the best decision for now. So, and someone else relocated from Brazil to America for another client. So I laugh when people in Los Angeles say, oh, I can't drive to like a different zip code, you know, from Orange County to LA. But, you know, you want someone that you're attracted to physically, mentally, emotionally, and you can get through life and deal with all these problems, as the rabbi is saying. So it's more important who you're going to be, you know, attracted to over time, and can deal with all of the things life throws at you. So
That's
just wanted to make that comment.
That's good. Those are great examples, because you know, you never know what life's going to throw at you, and you have to be able to you know, to be able to deal with them, and that means resolve those issues and come up with win-win solutions. That means you're both happy. Okay, great. Anything else?
Yeah, another question came in. What are some problems that come up before marriage that can compare to after marriage? Oh, did we lose the rabbi for a sec?
Well, a biggie is family. Am I okay?
Yeah, you were freezing a little bit. You hear me okay?
You're good.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, you're okay.
Okay. Yeah, family. That's a biggie. That's you know, potential, you know, who your in-laws are going to be, family dynamics. You know, those can be those tend to be is crucial issues. They should be discussed when you're dating. That's for sure. Finances, for sure. What you know, ideas about saving, ideas about spending, ideas about financial responsibility. You know, some people you know, eat like eating out all the time. Well, that gets pretty expensive. And some people are a little more frugal and say, no, we'll stay home and cook. So those are issues you want to be sure, ideally, that you talk about before marriage.
Great.
Okay.
I think that was really clear. And then someone asked about a key to long distance relationships. Do you want to answer that right now, or maybe at the end?
A key?
Yeah. What's the key to long distance relationships lasting?
The key to long distance relationships lasting is not to have a long distance relationship. They are so hard. I mean, you know, it can be long distance for a while, but and I know people who get married having had just, you know, basically not seeing each other much at all. In my experience, they generally don't work out so well. So you got to spend, again, I can't answer specifically the question, but significant amount of face time together. You know, being present with each other. It's just essential.
A follow-up question to this. I just think it's so relevant because of the Zoom times that we're in, and the coronavirus. Would you say maybe like our singles that are really ready to get married now, they just need the right person. So let's say they Zoom a few times, then someone goes to visit someone in their city. Like, should someone maybe like take an Airbnb or, you know, rent a short-term place near the other person so they could date, you know, quick, maybe 3 months of that, and they're going to know and be able to get engaged instead of back and forth. And you can't find out everything about somebody when it's, you know, long distance, takes longer.
Yeah, well, or you don't find out enough if you don't have enough time together. Should you, you know, spend that type of time with somebody, you know, rent something? Obviously, people have limitations, you know, with work and whatever lifestyles. again, you want to spend as much time as you can together. You know, I know couples that do, you know, I'll spend 2 weeks with you, you'll spend 2 weeks with me. You know, that can be doable.
And but overall, you usually advise when singles come to you and they say, I'm thinking about getting into this long distance thing, you say, well, do you say you can't find a nice Jewish boy or girl in your own city? Like, do you try to start with that, you know, before you encourage them to keep
Well,
going?
usually, well, the truth is, Jessica, right, that they have tried to find someone in their own city, and you know, and it hasn't
Worked.
hasn't worked out. So that's why they're now looking long distance. Practically speaking, that's been my experience. So yeah, and you have to do what you need to do. You do. You just have to do your best to spend as much time together. You know, but I think again, these types of questions that are coming up, given you know the pandemic situation and the limitations that are present, as I'm answering these questions, I'm thinking to myself, the 10 issues that I'm going through with you tonight, I think become even more important for everyone to keep in mind and to really evaluate the relationship. Again, the overall relationship on the basis of these 10 points that I'm talking about tonight. Because I think what I'm talking about, if you can check off for the most part on these 10 aspects, then I think, again, even if you can't spend that much time together, I think you can feel quite confident in going forward into making a commitment.
Right. I think everyone feels good to hear that. That it can work, you just got to do the effort.
But again, the issues I'm talking about aren't so simple to do. I know from experience that most people really don't think about the things I'm talking about tonight. So I'm encouraging everybody to take what I'm sharing very seriously as a basis for evaluating, again, the overall relationship. Again, not the person, but again, the quality of the relationship. That's the takeaway that I'm hoping you'll take away tonight.
Yeah, the quality of the relationship, not the person. I read that in the article too. So everyone write that down or read the article and watch the replay again later so it gets drilled in.
Okay. All right. Should we go on? Number 6.
Yeah.
All right. The 6th aspect of evaluating the overall quality of a relationship is that ideally both of you are emotionally mature. You're emotionally mature people. What is an emotionally mature person? It's hard, not so easy to find them. Not the way I understand. Emotional people are very well connected to their feelings. They are in touch, as we like to say. They know what they feel. They can name what they feel, and they can express what they feel. That is the most important aspect of an emotionally mature person. They don't give, when you ask somebody, what are you feeling? They can answer the question. I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling afraid. I'm feeling nervous. I'm feeling confused. They can answer that question. And if you ask, well, what's going on? They can answer, I think it's about this, or I think it's about that. They have the ability to process their feelings. So emotionally mature people are in touch with their feelings, and they can understand the meanings of their feelings. When they get jealous, they don't just get jealous. When they get angry, they don't just get angry. When they get impatient, they don't act impatient. They don't get impatient, just act out on it. They step back and they process it and they evaluate what's going on for me right now. Why is this bothering me so much? Why am I so angry right now? That's the sign of an emotionally mature person. And because they can do that, they take full responsibility for their feelings. They don't do the blame game. They don't do, boy, you're making me feel this way. You know, if you wouldn't do that, I wouldn't feel this way. Yeah, that's like, you know, just the way I said is fairly childish. But there are a lot of adults who treat other people that way. They blame other people for their feelings. No, mature people take responsibility. This also applies afraid of their feelings. Emotional people actually are interested in their feelings. They don't think feelings are bad. They have a friendly relationship, and they actually are curious when they feel something. If they feel overwhelmed, they just don't go into, you know, they don't escape from the feeling. They don't try to run away. Again, they try to make sense of it. and understand and learn from what they're feeling. Emotionally mature people know their triggers. If they had experiences in their past that make them particularly vulnerable, like maybe, more serious types of things like parents and doing abandoning things, or a lot of conflict through a divorce, where there's a lot of fear and anxiety in the home. These can become triggers as an adult when there's conflict. When a person comes home late, someone who has an abandonment issue can get triggered by them coming home late. So emotionally mature people know their triggers. They know their vulnerabilities. And instead of lashing out at the other person, they're able to say, oh my gosh, I just got triggered. And they can explain to the other person why they got triggered and help them understand him or her better. Emotionally mature people feel safe with each other. Above all, they're emotionally safe, and they never, like they have to shells around the other person. You ever feel that way, that you have to worry about a person's reactions to you? You have to like tiptoe around? You have a very serious problem there. You're dealing with a situation where someone is not emotionally mature. And they also don't get into passive-aggressive stuff. Emotionally mature people don't do passive-aggressive. Passive means I don't know what I feel, I don't know what I need. So things build up, and then they get angry and aggressive. Mature people don't do passive-aggressive. And one last thing, emotionally mature people have really good boundaries. They are very committed to protecting the relationship, protecting the person from threats to the relationship, and they don't, emotionally mature people don't create what we call in psychology destructive triangles. They don't create triangles. Triangles are you, me, and some third person that I'm very attached to, more attached to than I should be. And that third person is involved in our relationship in a way that's intrusive and inappropriate and unhealthy. So emotionally mature people don't create triangles because they know their boundaries and they know their needs. So it's quite a list there, but very important. Again, if you want to know if you're in the right relationship, then you're going to be, you and your partner are going to be ideally emotionally mature people. Okay, that's point 6.
Great. Okay, a couple questions came in. Do you have to be able to instantly name and identify your feelings, or is it okay to take a little time to step back, process, and then identify and communicate with your partner?
Of course, yeah. I mean, especially when you could get triggered, or things are, you have really strong feelings. We all, myself included, aren't so good at being present with our feelings when they're very strong feelings, or the situation is very intense. So yeah, it takes, you call your own time out and say, I don't know, something's really bothering me. I'm not sure what it is. I need to take a walk and let me figure it out, and let me get back to you on it.
That's very smart. I've blown up before, and you say things in the heat of the moment. I think it's so wise to say, like, let me think about it. Let me go for a walk. I think everyone has done that, especially people I'm sure have gotten triggered with the same people in their house during coronavirus, and not having your own space applies to all kinds of relationships, I think. And then someone else says, what about if someone gets scared of saying something because they themselves are scared of rocking the boat? Who is emotionally immature there? I think it froze for a second.
The person shouldn't be afraid of expressing what they're feeling. Especially, they shouldn't be afraid of rocking the boat, because that's what being vulnerable is. Right, I should add, emotionally mature people are vulnerable with each other. They're able to be, which means they're able to be emotionally honest. So they don't hide things. They don't hide their feelings. I mean, it is true. Sometimes, though, there are certain feelings we have with our partner that, they're really my stuff, and I really need to work it out myself. And I don't need to sort of burden my partner with them. But if it's about your partner, if it's about your spouse, then you can't hide from it. Then you have to bring it up. Not doing so would be, in my opinion, not emotionally mature. On the other hand, if you really feel you'd like to bring it up, but you're afraid that the other person can't handle it, then it's on them. They're the one, he or she is the one who's not emotionally mature.
Great point. Yeah. Okay. And again, they can come to you if they need help with maybe how to say things, maybe if they need practice on how to phrase things, correctly to the partner to not offend them.
That is also true. It's good to, there are certain techniques in terms of how to express, difficult and intense feelings. I'll give you one tool, for example. When you have something really intense that you're really a little nervous about bringing up, it's a good thing to say to the other person how you would like to be feeling with him or her. I really want to feel close to you. So much. It's my ultimate desire is to be close to you. And I love the times we have been, but right now I'm not. And I need to tell you what's bothering me. Okay. It's always good to start with the positive and how you hope to feel, and then express how you actually are feeling.
Great. And we have one more just come in. It's an interesting one. If you ask someone about what happened in their past relationships and they can't pinpoint the reason, is that emotionally immature?
Could be. I don't know. These are sort of tough. It depends on the issues and the situation. Yeah. I mean, again, when I say emotionally mature, we're talking about people who have the basic skill set. Doesn't mean that they're like perfect. People block things out. I block things out. We all do that. I'm not always perfectly connected with myself, but overall, I know what I feel. I can talk about what I feel. And if you ask me, I can generally discuss it with you. So if someone can't really pinpoint what's going on, it sounds like to me they're probably blocking out something, or maybe it's something he or she did that they don't want to face about themselves, and they feel responsible for why it didn't work. So that's about being honest with yourself.
Okay.
Yeah. Hard to say in general, though.
Okay, great. Rabbi, do you think that people even should be bringing up the past relationships so much? Like we always get conflicting advice.
That's a great question. I think if you're married, I think it's reasonable to ask why the marriage didn't work out. I think that's important information. You certainly want to hear, because that's like, you were in it and it was serious and you were committed. And at least you want to get some sense of how the person answers that question. Past dating relationships, no, totally irrelevant, in my opinion. Totally irrelevant. You're just causing yourself much more pain and difficulty to get into old stuff that, isn't relevant anymore. And even if it is relevant, it's just not useful.
I think that's amazing for the singles to hear, because I just hear this every day that so many people, like, they tell each other the entire life story and background, and then you can get into so many like, well, what about that thing you said about your ex-girlfriend, and then your mind starts to play, games with you, like, should I be worried that he said this about his ex-girlfriend? So if we could all just live by Rabbi Heller's advice and like not ask each other at all, and you can actually say this to any new potential matches, dates that you're getting right now, just say, I heard from one of the best speakers, rabbis and marriage family therapists, we should just blame us, and just say, I heard from him, we're not supposed to discuss this, and I really want this to have the most chance of success to leading to marriage. So like, how about we just don't go there? And that would be amazing for singles that have been dating and, like now are reaching their later 30s or plus, to not have to say all of that and just be able to like say, oh, that's one thing that's gonna, I feel like that could be a relief for a lot of people on the webinar to hear. You could try to get out of discussing that, unless someone said, what about a failed engagement though? Would you have to bring up a failed
again,
engagement?
I think that's worthwhile bringing up.
Mhm.
Serious level of commitment. You really thought it was right. Why didn't it work out? I think that sort of information is useful. But
Okay.
dating relationships, I think it's going to cause more problems than good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hallelujah. So a few more questions came in, but they're very detailed. So I just want to let you keep going because I know we still have a few points
Okay.
to get to.
Maybe we'll save them to
Yeah.
the end. We'll see. What our time frame is. Okay, let's
Yeah.
go on. Number 7. So the seventh aspect of evaluating the overall quality of your relationship is, do we trust each other? That is absolutely essential. Trust means I can rely on you. I can rely on you for everything. I have a total trust in you. I don't have any doubts about not trusting you. I trust you with my money. I trust you with my feelings. I trust you with my life. I trust you with my brother. I trust you with my parents. I trust your judgment. I trust your honesty. I trust your integrity. I can just rely on you, and I don't have any doubts that that you're solid, and I can trust you with anything that I have that could come up in life. Trust is absolutely essential because as the well-known relationship expert Dr. John Gottman says, trust is the foundation of love. You can't build real love, real positive energy if there's just a feeling of distrust, right? That just eats away at the relationship. If there's a tiny crack in the trust, you can only build love on a foundation of trust. And this is a big issue for a good number of people. Psychologically speaking, there's an issue that we call basic trust. Some people lack basic trust. These are childhood issues where the proper emotional environment was not positive, painful, and some children grow up with just a sense that I just can't trust anybody. They're always on the lookout. Now, practically speaking, we should be on the lookout for everybody. I mean, until they prove themselves. The rabbis say an important principle: trust him and suspect him. Give him some trust, but look out for him. He's a human being. Human beings can be harmful. But that's talking about before you've developed a relationship. What I'm talking about is once you've gotten to know the person, you want to have complete trust. You want to know that I can trust this person. But again, going back to my point, some people can't trust. More relevant today than the concept of basic trust, we refer to it as attachment issues. There are quite a few people that have what we call insecure attachment styles. They just don't feel secure. And no matter what the person says, no matter what the person does, they just can't feel safe. They just can't feel secure because they've never had that feeling of safety and security. And they just carry it into their adult life. And that's a problem. And I'm bringing it up because if you think you know somebody that might struggle with this, this is an issue that requires professional attention and should be dealt with and can be dealt with. And can be dealt with in a way that won't interfere with your ability to be in a lifetime committed relationship. Okay, so that's aspect number 7 is trust. You trust each other.
We got one specific question about trust. Is it okay to ask you, Rabbi? Okay. What are some things we can work on as a woman to allow ourselves to trust the guy more?
Yeah, well, again, a question like that is it's always highly personal and contextual.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know you, I don't know the guy. But you, again, you want to at least, I think I'm thinking about myself the question, do you just feel a sense of security with this person? Do you basically trust this person? Do they seem like a trustworthy type of person? That you have to answer. If you don't, if you say, I know, I feel nervous, I feel insecure, I don't know if I can really trust him, then again, you have to do a little exploration. Could be something about him that he's not trustworthy, and you have to explore that. Or again, it could be you, and maybe you've had bad experiences. People have hurt you, and you're having a hard time trusting because you've been hurt so much. Now, if that's where the question is coming from, that's a huge issue. It's a very challenging one. But I'm going to answer that because it comes up a lot. People say, I've been hurt so much, I don't know if I can trust, so what do I do? So I tell people, trust means trust. Trust means, to the best of my ability, I think I can trust you. But trust isn't an absolute certainty. Any human being can hurt another human being. Another human being can betray another human being. So the bottom line is, if you do have sort of this reservation about trusting again, but you think everything looks pretty good, then you have to go. You have to go into it, knowing you could get hurt, but you have to trust, and you take a risk. Because if you let your anxiety control you, you'll never get married. You will always be looking for that perfect proof, all the evidence that this guy will not hurt me, and that you will never find in anybody.
That's very powerful to hear. Okay.
Okay. Anything else?
That was it for that one. And then we have some more nuanced questions that maybe we'll save till the end.
Okay, good. Let's go on to number 8. The 8th point of evaluating the quality of a relationship is you are compatible. Again, these are, sort of obvious. You need to be compatible, but you really need to look at each of these points because they really have specific meanings. And again, you do want to be compatible. People say opposites attract. Yeah, I guess that's true. But when it comes to compatibility, sameness is what I believe we're looking for. Sameness is what attracts. As a wise woman once shared with me, which I think is very true insight, the fact that you're a man and you're a woman is enough difference right there. You don't need to create all sorts of other differences. Large age differences, cultural differences, socioeconomic differences, intellectual differences. You want to look for as much sameness as possible. So let's go back. What do I mean? What types of things am I talking about by looking for sameness? Yes, ideally, I'm looking for the same cultures, a pretty close age range. I know this question comes up all the time. When I talk about differences in ages, I don't mean necessarily quantitative differences, but qualitative. In other words, you don't want to feel like, you sort of becoming an old guy and you're still a bit of a party animal. That's not so good. You know what I mean? That you're not in the same generation, so to speak. And you want to feel like you're in the same generation. That's age. Same education level is ideal. Again, I know lots of couples where, one's a PhD and one never finished high school. I know couples like that, and they're doing great. But again, everything being equal and you have the options to choose, this is where you want to go. You want to look for sameness in educational levels, socioeconomic backgrounds, similar life experiences, really important. I used to travel a lot, you travel a lot, we've got that in common. Sense of humor, very important. You have to be able to laugh together, and you have to get each other's jokes and each other's sense of humor. And that's so important. that you are really enjoy laughing together, that you enjoy the same sorts of things in terms of having fun together, that you're on the same page religiously, politically. These are all, areas that I suggest that promote compatibility. Even personalities. I think personality styles, some of you are probably familiar with the Myers-Briggs test, which evaluates personality styles. I'm personally believe that you want more similar personality styles than different personality styles. Sexual compatibility, well, that's a whole nother story. And I'm not going to spend time on that because I'll say one thing about it. Sexual compatibility, obviously extremely important, essential. In Judaism, we say, if you don't have a great sex life, you're not married. That's right. It's not a marriage if your sex life is not really vibrant, alive, exciting, and could I say hot. It needs to be that way. Of course, if both of you are low desire people, libidos aren't really great, and you're both sort of happy with, sort of vanilla-ish type of lovemaking, that's fine too, just as long as you're compatible. I'll just say one thing, can't get into it, this is for another conversation, but it's probably intrigues some of you, is that from a Jewish point of view, we say what determines the quality of the sex life is the man. He has a ton of power in how it goes. Unfortunately today, the men are actually turned it around and put all the responsibility on the woman. This is why so many sex lives are bad. Judaism says no, it's the man's job to make sure that she's satisfied, that she's happy, that he's tuned into her, that he gets her sexual personality and works with that and understands her and is patient with her. We say in Judaism, a good lovemaking is not something that's is quick. Not if the man's doing his job. An hour is getting more specific is sort of the time frame that one should even begin to be thinking about. So I'm just emphasizing the importance of the man in terms of the issue of sexual compatibility. And I'll leave it there.
Okay, that's really fascinating. We got a lot of good questions from this point. Let's just go to where the first one came in. What's an age? And I deal with this one all the time too in my matchmaking business. What's an appropriate age difference for a younger woman and an older man? Because I have men come to me actually that maybe are in their 50s looking to start their family, which is I understand sometimes they just didn't find their person yet, so they're asking for me for someone in their 30s. So love to hear the rabbi's take and what he thinks about this.
Again, let's say a 25-year age gap. That's a lot. And I'm just thinking now on a practical level. I'm thinking, how will this guy be? And he's 50 now. In 15 years he's going to be 65, and you're going to be, 40. 40. That's a big difference. Bodies change, energy levels change, and I know couples who have married with those sort of large age differences, and then the relationship changes because now it's turned from, a sort of a vibrant sex life to sort of caretaking. You have to be practical. Yeah. So I'm being practical now. That's a really large age gap. I know some guys take care of themselves. They got a lot of energy. They're good and all that. Okay, but it does change. I would say try to keep it as low a difference as possible. And again, 10 years. That's fine. Again, as long as you're in the same generation, as long as you're on the same page in terms of lifestyle.
Agreed. I think 10 years should be max. And then someone actually said, flip it around. What if it's an older woman, younger man? Would you say the same, or would you say it's quite hard to maintain the relationship?
These are hard questions. Again, it isn't. It is just a practical issue of aging and the impact of aging. I mean, from a sexual point of view, women are, sort of get better with age, so to speak. That seems to be the predominant understanding. So, that's potentially not a problem. But again, I would say keep the gap as small as possible.
Yeah, and I would also say it's life stage, right? Because maybe it can be a bigger age gap if both people don't need to have kids anymore, and if you're still looking for biological children, less. But I agree with the rabbi completely that you won't get each other in the generational references, and the friends that the older one in the relationship has, you could feel awkward around them. But society can make just trouble for you, so you have to be like strong if you're like in that big age gap relationship. I have seen it work. I've made matches. But the man was the older one, for example, so he kind of did things to look more youthful, got in better shape, dressed a bit differently. And I think having the baby like invigorated him and gave him this other life and energy. So I have seen it work. But it's you just got to be like, I've seen a lot of women that date younger men, the younger man ends up breaking up with her when he like realizes I actually do want kids, so that she had like some wasted years. And the other thing I will say is, men, be open to women that maybe on paper it looks like it biologically might be too old to have her own biological children, but she still really wants them. So maybe surrogacy, adoption. It's just so many women come to me that they still want kids, but we might have to get creative about how they can have them. So be open to your own age, is what we're saying. I just wanted to emphasize that. It comes up so much in my business as well. And another question we had was, I believe in God, and the guy I'm dating doesn't really believe in God so much, but is open to learning from me. Is that compatible? I like that he's open, but Rabbi?
Yeah, well, actually, we're going to deal with that. That's point 10. So I'll say that one, okay?
Okay, and then let me just see. There was one more. What if one of you has a lot of relationship experience and one has none? Is that a problem? Previous relationship experience?
No, I don't think so. Again, it's to me it's about being a healthy person, emotionally mature person, and there's no serious baggage that's kept the person from having more relationship experience. It could be a significant baggage going on there. That's why the person doesn't have so much experience. Obviously, then that's a problem. But if the person is generally healthy, they were involved in their career, that was their priority, and they just didn't want to date that much or get very serious, then okay, I can hear that, as long as they're, now they know themselves and they're at a point where they feel ready and they're basically a solid person.
Great. Okay, I think we're ready for the next point.
Okay, let's go on. Number 9. So the 9th aspect of evaluating the overall quality of relationship. Remember, tonight I'm talking about not looking for the right person, but looking for the right relationship. So I'm going through 10 aspects of how to evaluate whether the relationship as a whole is the type of relationship that merits marriage and lifetime commitment. Okay, so the 9th thing you want to evaluate is, are we growth oriented? To have two people who are growth oriented is amazingly important for really guaranteeing on some level the vitality and the longevity of a relationship, of a marriage, because two people who really work on themselves, I mean, they're really growing. A lot of people talk about growth, but there's more talk than actual change. But people who are really have they've committed to some sort of a path, some sort of a plan. Certainly Judaism is a great plan for a great program for personal growth and development. But two people who are really, really into growing, the benefit of that is that they are constantly upgrading themselves, and therefore they're always bringing a better version of themselves into the relationship. So there's more of you to love because, wow, you're getting better every day, right? That, rather than the people who don't grow, they're getting worse and they're going down. And in Judaism, we say, right, there's no middle ground. You're either going up or you're going down. There's no middle ground. If you're not growing, you're getting worse. And you need to be growing. All living things need to grow. Human beings need to grow. Relationships need to grow. And when any living thing stops growing, that means it's dying. And two people, to ensure that the relationship is growing, need to be growing into individuals. Growing people are generally happy people. That brings, again, a positive energy into the relationship. Very, very good for the relationship. Again, our culture is one that's not so much into growth as it is into comfort. Yeah, we're very busy, but we can be busy just being comfortable. Yeah, we can be active and we're in the gym and we're making a career, but that doesn't mean we're growing. We could be traveling and seeing all the movies and seeing and being at all the important things in life and being very politically involved and all that. That doesn't mean you're growing as a person. It just means you're busy. And busy doesn't mean you're growing. It could mean you're just being busy, being comfortable. Being busy can be a state of actually being comfortable. So there's a big difference because by definition, real growth is uncomfortable. It's not comfortable to grow. It's extremely exciting and pleasurable to grow and to see yourself becoming a better you. It's amazing. It's the ultimate. That's all we're here for, is to grow. Not in our careers. That's not called growth. Not in how much of the world we've seen. No, that's not called growth. But growing deep within. And in Judaism, that deep growth comes from character refinement. You need to be refining your character. There are so many character traits. In Judaism, the word for character is midah. The word midah means measure. So we measure a person by their character. That's how we measure somebody. And we want to be improving our character. We want to be refining our character. And again, the more we refine our character, which is hard to do, the better we become, the better version of ourselves we become, and we give each other, again, that gift on a constant basis. So really, really valuable to have two people who are sincerely into growth and have a really practical way that they go about doing it. Okay, that's point 9.
Yeah, that was powerful to hear. We got a few questions about that. Okay, how do we incorporate growth into our daily lives here in LA? And how can we work on our midot? What classes would you recommend?
Yeah, it's not such an easy thing to answer. You have to find somebody who teaches character development, and there actually aren't so many in Los Angeles. That's a problem for me. I'm talking about something that's hard to find. There are a lot of Torah classes, that's for sure, but people who specialize in character refinement is not so prevalent. You may have to go online to find somebody. There are a few people who do. I'm actually in a growth group that works on character refinement with a group of people. But if you recognize the importance of it, like everything in life, when you are ready, the teacher will appear. So when you're really, really wanting that, I'm almost can guarantee you'll find your teacher.
Yeah, there's classes like TorahAnytime.com. I haven't had time to check them out, but I hear that's really great. I don't know if you've heard of them, Rabbi, those classes.
100%. I listen all the time. I can give you someone to listen to online who's I find an amazing rabbi. He's in Israel. He's very strong, very strong, but his insights are really amazing. His name is Rabbi Reuven Leichter. It's spelled Leuchter. Leuchter. Reuven Leichter. That's how you pronounce it. He's from Switzerland. You can just Google him, and he's got a lot of his classes online. And his insight into character is about, to me, the most powerful stuff I've almost ever heard. And I've been listening to this for a long time.
Great. And then any books specifically that you like about?
There are books. Yeah, I don't know anything. I don't know specific books. There are books. You know, you go online, go to a Jewish bookstore, if they still exist, and just Google. Put it in your search box.
Yeah.
Character refinement, character development. You go to any of the Jewish publishers like Feldheim or Art Scroll, and search there. You'll probably come up with some options.
And just maybe reading the Torah and looking at the stories again. They teach us a lot.
No, I don't think so. I'm sorry, Jessica.
Oh, okay.
The Torah is really hard to learn. You really need a good teacher to learn Torah.
So maybe at this time when there's not so much you can do, you should get yourself a good Torah teacher, and go through it again.
I think the way to go is to find a teacher, or maybe a website of a teacher that really resonates with you.
Mm-hmm. And maybe you want to check out the Gottman books. They're Jewish, and like you were talking about them.
Gottman is great on relationships. That's for sure. John Gottman, he's great. He's actually a very spiritual Jewish guy as well. So he's got that. I say that because he's got those values. He writes from those. His psychology is rooted in Jewish values. He doesn't talk about it, but they are.
Yeah, I knew that behind the scenes too, that the values are rooted in that. So look up John Gottman, the Gottman Institute. All his books are there. 7 Principles of Making Marriage Work. It should be a staple to read, I think, during the quarantine.
Yeah,
okay, there were a couple more questions, but I know I want to let you finish the points, and I know it's been going long.
Let's do that, Jessica. Yeah. Let's do that. Let me finish. Yeah. We're on number 10. Let me just finish. So the 10th way to evaluate the overall quality of the relationship is you share a common life vision. Now, I know everything I'm talking about tonight, and people are going to say, well, you're never going to find all 10. I always get that response. So you may not need all 10, but at least if you have, most of them, or you have a touch of all of them to at least, an acceptable degree. May not be 10s in all areas. You may have a couple 5s, maybe an 8, maybe a 10 one place, right? And maybe a couple 7s. That's fine. Okay. I just want to try to, be reassuring. But this is very important. You share a common life vision. So common life vision means you are certain, to the degree that you can, that you and the person you're in the relationship with share common values, priorities, beliefs, and goals. Values, priorities, beliefs, and goals. You're on the same page. These 4 areas are aligned. So that means you see the world basically through the same lens. You value the same things. Your priorities are in sync, money, career, family, children, spiritual growth, learning. Your priorities are aligned. Very, very important, because this allows you, gives you a great chance. That means if you're aligned this way, you'll grow together as opposed to growing apart. People who are not aligned in their values, priorities, beliefs, and goals have a greater chance of growing apart. It's pretty simple. So this is a great insurance policy that the two of you will grow together. As I like to say, soulmates are goalmates. Soulmates are goalmates. You want to know you want to find your soulmate? Find someone who's aligned with you in terms of life goals, life values, priorities, and beliefs. That's a soulmate. Don't worry about the red strings and the astrological signs and all that spooky stuff. Just be very practical, down to earth. It's my approach. That's what a soulmate is. You are aligned as goal mates. So why is this important? It's important, again, as I said, it helps you to grow together. But the more your values and priorities, beliefs and goals are aligned, it means you're basically agreeing on most of the big things. And if you're agreeing on most of the really big things and important things in life, then that gives you less to fight about. You're going to probably have less conflict, less fights, because you're on the same page. Again, I can speak for myself personally. This has certainly been true in my own marriage. My wife and I are, very aligned in these ways. And the things that I hear couples fighting about, we don't. We just, it's just we sort of know how the other person thinks. We know how the other person would see what's the right thing to do. And we generally have a consistent consensus. So it's really great when you share a common life vision. Okay, so those are the 10 ways to evaluate your the quality of the relationship. Again, the issue is not finding the right person, but finding the right relationship. Again, I think Jessica sent out an article I wrote on this, so you have a good review, a good way to review what I covered tonight. You can check that out if you didn't get it from Jessica. You can go to my website, Clarity Talk, and go to the dating section, and you'll find the article there. Okay, so I have time for a few questions.
Okay.
And then I'm probably going to have to sign off. And Jessica, you can take over.
Okay, yeah. Wow, it went really long. I'll probably have to sign off soon as well after you. But okay, I'll just go to if you guys did submit questions in advance, I'll try to do just one more from the chat box and maybe 2 of the specific questions, because people did take time to fill that out ahead of time and submit it to us.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so one of these ones in the general questions here is, the older we get, the more limited we have in the singles pool. Are all of these 10 ways still important, or do we not need all 10 so much? And someone said, yes, I also have the same question.
Yeah, even more so. What are you talking about? Trying to settle for something that's...
Yeah, to not get all 10 from all the points.
Yeah, I didn't say I'm not saying you have to have all 10. What my goal tonight was, I put this seminar together for people that say, how can you know? Is it really possible to really know? Can you actually really be certain? And my answer is yes, you can be certain. And if you could check off on all 10, then in my opinion, you can be certain that this is the relationship that is going to be good for a lifetime. That was why I put this together. Now, practically speaking, do you have to have all 10? Okay, you do the best you can. That's all I can say. But at least you can use these 10 points as a reference.
Great. I think that helps a lot. Another question is, what if someone has emotional baggage from their past, which may affect the relationship? Should they bring this up to their partner, and at what point should they bring it up?
Well, it depends, what exactly is the quality of the emotional baggage. What I mean by that is, a lot of people have emotional baggage. That's not a reason for not getting married. The issue is not about having emotional baggage. We've all got stuff. I make a distinction between just being a human being and having emotional baggage, which is sort of, childhood types of traumas and pain and stuff like that, generally speaking. But the issue for me is how are you handling it now? Are you aware of the baggage? Are you, again, aware of how you can get triggered by it? And if you're aware of it, if you know what you're bringing in, you have the baggage, and you're bringing it into this relationship, but you feel very comfortable that you know how to handle yourself. If, for example, you get triggered by the other person, then to me, that's fine. That's great. No one can have no one comes into a relationship without some stuff. It's just a matter of when it's not known, when it's unconscious. That's when it becomes dangerous. But even that's not totally dangerous, because let's say, there's something that you've been suppressing since childhood. And then you get married, and all of a sudden this person is triggering all these deep, painful feelings. Well, it doesn't mean it's the end of the relationship. It may mean that you need some therapy, either individually or as a couple. But you work on it, and and hopefully you get stronger.
Great. Okay. Another biggie. What if you have practically everything, but something is missing in the sexual chemistry department? Can that grow, or is that a deal breaker?
Again, if you heard what I said before, and you believe that it's true, that the man is responsible for the sexual compatibility or the quality of the sex, then it's very fixable if he's willing to take responsibility. I know a lot of relationships where it's not been good, where I've been able to help the guys understand what they need to do, and things have improved tremendously. So it's certainly the easy way to go. A lot of sex therapy can be useful, no question. Some people really need it. But the first place to look is how's the guy in the relationship. We have a lot of problems, again, culturally today in our society. Guys have expectations. Unfortunately, they watch things they shouldn't be watching. That creates all sorts of fantasies and expectations, and that's really not fair to the woman.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, I'll go. Rabbi, do you want just 3 more, maybe?
I'm not sure I have time for 3. Let's take one. Let's see
Okay.
what it is, how quickly
All right,
I can answer.
I'm trying to pick one that's more universal, that applies to everyone. Okay, here's a good one. I tend to make up my mind quickly and want to rush into a relationship. What are some tips for pacing myself and not coming across as too forward with my partner?
Well, you can be forward. You can be honest and say, this is what I'd like. You're such a neat guy. You can do all that. But the way to pace yourself is to use what I taught you tonight. Go through the relationship and measure each of these 10 qualities and see how the relationship is. Again, it's not just about how you feel. It's about how the two of you are, how the overall quality of the relationship is. So if you need to slow down and pace yourself, go use my outline here to give you a way of working on evaluating the relationship. And don't get too excited until you have good reason to be excited. If you can check off on all 10 boxes, and he can check off on all 10 boxes, then you should both be excited and you should go get a ring.
Agreed. And okay, this could be a good ending one.
Okay.
What to do when you don't agree about the marriage timeline? He is concerned about the state of the world, the economy, unemployment, etc. But I value starting a family. How soon is too soon to be engaged if you're not Orthodox?
Yeah, well, goes back to problem solving. That is a really good problem, right? I can't answer that question. The two of you need to work that out.
So
hear my answer? That is exactly a great problem, and that is a great test of your problem solving ability. The two of you.
So would you say that if it's hard for them to come to this the conclusion about the timeline, maybe they should come to you to also help them figure it out together?
If they're having trouble solving the problem, I'm happy to maybe help understand maybe some underlying issues they're missing. But I always tell couples that come to see me the same thing. They often come because they think I'm going to solve their problems. Unfortunately, I tell them I'm not here to solve your problems. So I'm here to maybe help you get the tools to solve your problems. But I'm not a problem solver. I don't do that. I don't want to give you fish if I can teach you how to fish. So that's my approach.
Exactly. And I think most therapists and coaches would say the same, right? Most work like that. Yeah.
Who wants to solve people's problems? Because that's never ending. They're gonna keep coming back to you forever.
Exactly.
But,
and if you could do that,
I tell people, if you want to put me on retainer, that's fine. I'm happy to do that.
Exactly. And if you could actually wave the magic wand and make it go away, you'd be considered a genie. You'd be considered magic powers.
Yeah, well, they wouldn't go away. They actually might get solved, but again, that's not the goal. The goal is to become good problem solvers.
Hmm.
Okay, Jessica, I actually have to run. So
Okay.
this has been great. Again, I invite everybody to take me up on my offer of a complimentary session. Just send me an email, and we can find some time to get together. I'd love to hear from you. And Jessica, you're fantastic. Thank you so much for hosting. And you guys
Thank
should
you, Rabbi.
take advantage of her. People come to me after they hear my talks and they say, "Oh, where am I going to find somebody like that?" So I say, go find a matchmaker. So here you got one. This is it's Jessica. You've got her contact info, and she's the address. So again, take advantage of it. Jessica, again, thank you so much, and everybody, thank you for joining. And I hope I'll hear from a lot of you. Take care.
Great.
And good
Thank
luck.
you, Rabbi, for being with us. And you'll get a follow-up email with all the Rabbi's contact info again. So don't worry if you missed something. And I believe we'll share the recording, but we'll talk offline after, Rabbi, about the recording. Okay. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. Good night, everybody.
Good night, Rabbi Heller. Thank you for your time and wisdom.
My pleasure. Good night.
Good night. Okay, everyone. So thanks for sticking with us. Yeah, thank you. We saw 45 people here. Wow, at the end of 2 hours. I hope you all enjoyed that. I'm sorry if we didn't get to everyone's question. It's because amazing, relevant questions were coming in live based on what we're talking about. So, so what I'm going to do is, though, if you did submit a question in advance, I really appreciate that you guys did that and took the time. So I'm saving all of those. And maybe what I'll do is next time with Rabbi Heller, just a question answer. So save your question from today if it didn't get answered. If you already submitted it when you did the Google form RSVP, I have it. So I'll be saving it. So yeah, put me in the chat box who would like to see like a, more just question and answer. I'm happy to try to get the rabbi to do that. When there's like an outline and points to get through, it's hard to do all the questions. So we could have one more that's like, ask the rabbi anything. If people are interested in that in the future, let me know in an email. You can write in the chat box. Thank you for the thank yous. Love to see that. Love doing, oh yeah, my email. If you registered, I have your email and you'll get a follow-up email, but I'll put my email in the chat. It's jessica@fastpasstolove.com. I believe we'll be able to release the recording and we'll put it like in a private YouTube link for the people who attended. I'm just going to check with the rabbi that that's okay. And you have his article. So if you missed anything tonight, don't worry. You can read a summary of everything he said in the article. And I'm really happy to keep bringing you guys these seminars. Sometimes I do, sorry, not sometimes. Half the time I'm doing speed dating events where it's like a round table where everybody goes around the room and introduces themselves. And half the time it's bringing content from amazing speakers, therapists, and coaches, Jews from around the world. So I have one coming up this Sunday with another marriage family therapist and coach named Mickey Lavenpel. So she's based out of Israel. So we do it at 10 a.m. LA time, 1 p.m. Eastern this Sunday. Anyone that came today and you registered, I'll have your email on my mailing list. So now you'll know about all my events. Some events are free and some are paid. We do a little mix. And when they're paid, just know that the nonprofit is getting the majority of it. And I volunteer my time. And yeah, so when you're paying for these events, you're actually helping these Jewish nonprofits stay afloat right now. And this is my mitzvah, and I love to do it and host these things. So would love to see you on a speed dating event. Would love to see you at another lecture. If you had more questions, please email them to me because I won't save the chat box. Oh, thank you. Josh says we should have a weekly YouTube podcast. That's great. Yeah, it's hard to do like something with one person every week. I kind of split up and I do something with somebody every week, just not the same person every week. So just be on my mailing list and you'll see all the things I'm doing. If you want to work with a personal matchmaker, so that's the bread and butter of my business. So you can email me later. I'm coming up with new packages right now that are a little bit more affordable for people's budgets in Corona times. But I'll tell you, to work with me, usually starting costs $3,000. I'm working on something a little bit more budget friendly than that. But personal matchmaking is really like I am personally discussing your love life with you on a constant basis and searching for your criteria. So it's very time consuming. Also, I do things like hourly date coaching advice. So if you get a match from online dating, from a speed dating event, especially if you came from my speed dating event personally and I can know the person. So if you want to do a 1-hour advice call, or you want me to like contact the person from the event and see what they're really thinking about you, I call this matchmaking detective work. I can do things like that on an hourly rates. And if you need to work with a coach that's maybe a little bit more affordable because they kind of do it as a mitzvah, I know people also like that, and mitzvah matchmakers that are just asking for payment if you get to the chuppah. But a mitzvah matchmaker is not like constantly advocating for you and going out there and looking for suggestions for you all the time. If you want someone to do that, I kind of joke, if you know anything about the entertainment industry, I'm from LA. So I joke I'm kind of like an agent for your love life. I actually am. So that's like what an agent does for their client, is they're getting them the meetings with the directors and the casting directors, and booking them that ultimate spot, which is, to be the lead in the movie. So this is like, casting the movie of your life, and getting you those auditions, those dates with the people that you're really looking for. And what I'm telling everyone at this time is be open on location, be open to long distance. That's why I was really interested in what the rabbi had to say about long distance dating. My philosophy has always been based on long distance dating, because I match people from Israel, Latin America, Europe, throughout the US. So I really believe if you've been dating in your own city and you've kind of exhausted your resources, you feel like you've J-swiped on every relevant match, J-wed, J-date, Match.com, you need to like look outside your own zip code. And if it's important to be with a Jew, you might have to be open to relocation. Now, the benefit of this during Corona times is we all have to move at a slower pace right now. We can't do anything rushed. We have to be patient. Even if they do live in the same city, someone might be more serious about the quarantine because they're seeing elderly parents or relatives, and someone might be less serious about the quarantine because they're just interacting with themselves. So even if you live in your own city, sometimes it's taking time to go from the FaceTime to the actual in-person date. So it doesn't matter where you live. You might as well just, if you never thought about doing long distance, now is the time, because people are going to be patient. People are going to get to take the time to actually know each other. And you can use Rabbi Heller's articles to like think of the right kinds of questions to ask each other. He's got tons of free articles on his website. I also have a document with good questions to ask each other for dating, whether in person or virtual, that kind of make it more fun, more like a game, and diving deeper at the same time. It's a list of different articles I've compiled from different websites and coaches. And so I'm going to email you all this as like a free gift and resource. It's in a Google Doc, and you can even share it with your friends. So at these times, all we have is conversation. So it's important to make the conversations like fun and light and interesting. And then after like a few Zoom dates, you start asking, kind of like the heavier things. Like the rabbi said, you could ask it right from date one. I do like that. I do like that transparency and vulnerability, but I think the more religious you are, you can kind of like tachlis, get to the point faster. I think in more secular reform dating, you kind of have to play the game of modern dating a bit, and like by the third Zoom call or date, you can start to like ask the deeper questions, like where do you really see yourself living? How many kids do you want? What's your timeline? I think those serious conversations happen more third date, fourth date. It doesn't matter if it's Zoom or in person. So that's just my take on it. I'm Reform myself, Jewish. That's how I grew up. And I specialize in everything from like completely secular and just culturally Jewish to modern Orthodox liberal. And I have, like I said, I have clients in the US, Israel, have Latin America, have a guy in Belgium right now, wherever you are in the world. And I only work with 10 to 20 clients at one time to give them a really personalized process experience. And I'm constantly, with my VIP clients, I'm on WhatsApp constantly. I'm recording them voice notes constantly. So it's nice to just have like a coach constantly in your ear, on your team. And then sometimes I outsource to people like Rabbi Heller. If you guys know Eliza Ben Shalom, also do webinars with her. And so when you're doing like a more VIP package, like I'm including some of their coaching in it. And we even have a private WhatsApp group together. If it's going to be my new package under the $2,000, it's not going to be that high end, but you're still going to have access to me, just not another coach. Okay, I think that's my spiel for now. feel free to message email me after the event. Again, you're going to get a follow-up email with links if you want to book sessions with me, and also my free resource guide. Let me just, if I can grab the link right now for those of you here, you can have it right now. Did anybody want to just come on real quick? I can do like one question. If you had a question about matchmaking, something that the rabbi really didn't answer and you wanted my take on it, if anybody wanted to come off mute, I'm happy to answer. That's my free Google Doc resource. Any takers can just jump in. You can write in the chat, I want to talk. I know it's a lot to digest. You guys were just on like a 2-hour Zoom.
All right, I got a question.
Oh, hi, Josh. Okay, go for it.
I don't know. It's almost more of just a word for thought or something. But would somebody like you or an expert have advice? Because, you know, the list of 10 things to know if you're in love and everything, I feel like that's, you know, if you're 20 years old and you've met your true love, it's easy. But like a lot of people have been saying in the chat, like the older you get, the harder it gets to find anyone, never mind, oh, the perfect top 10 list. And I feel like a useful skill would be learning how to grow to like someone that maybe you don't normally like, or, you know, how to make something work that maybe isn't ideal, but you know what, you're both alive now, that kind of thing. Like, are there certain skills or a way to learn those skills to sort of, you know, rather than trying to find the perfect person, just make the person you're with the perfect person?
Yeah, I mean, are you talking about physical attraction? Like they wouldn't have usually have been your type, and so you're trying to become more open, or even their personality type you're trying to become more open to?
I think personality, because the older I get, the more I realize we all get older. We all, you know, like, I don't know, sex seems to matter less. Like it's like, you know, I just see older people who don't, you know, my parents don't even sleep in the same room kind of thing. It's like, you know, at some point, does it really matter? It's more just the, you know, as the existential angst grows, you're like, I don't care about having sex all the time. I just want somebody to keep me company, you know?
Yeah, I'll give you my opinion. So if the rabbi was here, he could disagree. So you guys, this is just completely my opinion. And it comes from like a lot of my wisdom comes from my own parents, married like 45 years, or is it just over that? And they met when my mom was 16 and my dad was 19 at a Jewish fraternity party. His opening line was, she said, "I'm so hot in here, I'm going to die." And he said, "Don't die yet. You just got here." Good line. Go, Dad. And, you know, definitely there was a lot of chemistry and passion at the beginning. And definitely they're completely honest. Like, you know, that dies off, but there's still that mutual respect and love. And, you know, it's not the same though. Like my mother will be the first to tell you, it's just not the same after 45 years of marriage, but there's like it's my person, you know, like this is my family. And you know, the physical stuff, yes, it does become less, and because your libido even goes down as you get older, just, you know, biologically. So it is more about, another one of my favorite mentors says, a porch swing test. Who are you going to want to be on a porch swing with when you're old, sipping lemonade, you know, fighting off the mosquitoes, and like who's going to like make you laugh and be interesting? So really we should be looking at the mind and who makes us laugh and who we feel comfortable to be our true selves, and like less at the physical. The rabbi was saying, you know, you should stay attracted like throughout the relationship. Yeah, I agree, attracted to some aspect. So if it's the personality, if it's the humor, you might lose some physical attraction because we just like age, you know, and things happen to our bodies. And we just like, we might become stressed and we have kids to raise. So like someone who exercised every day religiously, that was in really good shape. I mean, after you have kids, your body's just not the same. So if you are not a celebrity that can hire nannies while you're doing your personal training sessions, I don't know how an average person can really ever get that body back. You know, it's not realistic to think that they will. So it's really about, Josh, I agree. Pick like character, values, makes you laugh. And the porch swing. Who will you want to be on the porch swing with when you're 80? I think that's a great thing to think of, the porch swing test. You know, like think about this person when you're on this date. Am I really going to be interested in speaking to them still when I'm 80? Just like, am I going to be interested in what they have to say? And I can tell you, my parents are still interested in what each other has to say, because they agree politically. They agree in values. They agree like on how to run the household, like what to spend money on, what vacations to go on. I can tell you just one funny example that my dad said the other day. like, oh, you bought this, they're New York Jews. Oh, you bought this expensive iced coffee from Starbucks. You know, like you could buy like this pre-made, like, you know, 0-calorie iced coffee. It's like $5 or $6 for the bottle. But he's like, but I can use that Keurig and I could just put ice in it, and that could be like 25 cents a thing. And my mom's like, oh, I'm glad that you considered that. You're right. So I don't need to buy this expensive coffee anymore. You know, so that was just like a cute way of like that, like they're thinking similarly. And then they both got like, they just got a golden doodle puppy. So they're both like obsessed with it and love it. So it's like, you know, like if one of them hated dogs, it would be kind of sad because only one of them, you know, would be loving the dog. So giving you guys just some kind of real life examples of, and they're Reformed secular Jewish, and the marriage has lasted about, I think it's just over 45 years. Yeah. So is someone raising their hand? Are they actually using that feature?
Susan Hackle said she wants to ask a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Susan. I never had someone do the hand raise thing.
I'd like to respond to the long distance.
Sure.
What happens if, I mean, it is really, really difficult. I would never be able to travel to California to date. I'm not right now in my life able to relocate. In this, you know, I have an aging mom, only a couple of years left with her. She's my only family. There's no way right now I would leave that. I'm still working, about to retire. So, you know, I'm in a kind of age in my life where, you know, I'm not young where I could just pack up and go. So how does that work? Let's say I use a matchmaker and you have somebody in California. I just cannot wrap my brain around how that works. Just lots of talking on the phone and lots of emailing. And I'm not, with my lifestyle, I'm just not able to just keep flying out to see somebody. And then what happens when you finally do meet in person, you're forced into an intimacy situation that you're not really comfortable with. Like if you have somebody local with an hour drive, you get to have coffee, you get to have a couple of meals, but you have somebody traveling like 6,000 miles, you have to spend days with them. It's really hard because, you know, you don't get a chance to know somebody slowly, like let it uncover. You're sort of like, they're either at a hotel if they're being a gentleman or they're staying with you. So it's awkward. How does that work with those long distance ones?
That's really tough if you don't have the finances and the time to keep traveling. You kind of need that to be, one of you needs it, you know, and like, because maybe one of you could afford to fly the other one out or has the flexibility to like work from anywhere if they're an entrepreneur. So it's very difficult. What I would say honestly is, like, again, you need money for this, but so you would go the first time and make it like a vacation, obviously, because you don't want the forced intimacy so fast. So you need to stay in the hotel and like date for like a week. And if it went well, then maybe you like keep Skyping or Zooming for a month or two. And then it's just like, okay, like maybe if you believe in living together before marriage, then maybe you just do a trial and live together.
At my age, I'm not willing to do that.
So then, like, yeah, somebody has to go and take an Airbnb near the other person for like a month or two, so you can see them on the daily basis.
Right.
And like, you have to speed up a long distance relationship. So usually I'm dealing with singles that like, it's going to be like their first marriage and kids. So they're willing to speed it up like that because like they got to decide like soon. There's no time to waste if they want to start, you know, get to work making babies. So they're willing to kind of maybe take a time out from their life to like go live like that. So yeah, if you don't have the money though, like to do that, to go and take that rental place for a month to 3 months, it can be like kind of impossible unless there's a plan to end the distance in the future. Like one of you knows I can move by this date. So we're going to see each other once every 6 months until this date. But if you know that date can come, you can live for that date. I mean, it really can't be more than 2 years out. I think it becomes impossible to wait if it's more than 2 years in the future. So that's what I would say. Yeah, it's not going to work otherwise. Because if you can't like leave your mother and,
I can. She's my only family, and she's 93.
Yeah, so you need to stay with her for now.
I just don't want to. She's, you know, we have a very small family. It just would be really hard for me.